Hey guys, Shane here with etrailer.com. Today I have a 2020 Chrysler Pacifica, and I want to walk through how to install the eTrailer Class 3 trailer hitch receiver. Adding a Class 3 trailer hitch to your vehicle is going to give you a lot of different options, whether that's pulling a small trailer, maybe you want to put a cargo carrier on it to get items out from inside and make more room for your passengers, or maybe you want to put a bike rack on. It'll also work great for your wheelchair carriers. Hitch is going to be 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, reinforced collar, give us a little extra stability there. Hitch pin hole, which is right here, is going to be 5/8 inch in diameter. It's going to take a standard 5/8 hitch pin. Hitch pin and clip does not come with this hitch, however it can be found here at eTrailer. We're going to have plate style safety chain loops. It's going to be a welded plate on the bottom of our receiver tube. It's going to accommodate different size safety chain hooks. Now let me give you a few measurements to help you when deciding on any of your hitch mount accessories you may need, such as a bike rack, a ball mount, or cargo carrier. From the center of our hitch pin hole to the outermost part of our bumper is going to be about 5 inches. The number is important for any of your hitch mount accessories that may fold up against your vehicle. You want to make sure they're not going to make contact with the bumper. From the ground to the top innermost part of the receiver tube, it's about 13 inches. That number is important for any of your hitch mount accessories that may require a little bit more ground clearance. As far as our weight capacities go, we're going to have a 400-pound max tongue weight, which is a downward pressure on the inside of the receiver tube. 4,000-pound gross trailer weight, which is a trailer plus a load included. I always recommend checking the owner's manual of the vehicle. Make sure the vehicle can withstand that amount of weight. You're going to go with the lowest number between the vehicle and the hitch. You can use weight distribution with this hitch. Tongue weight's going to go up to 500 pounds. Trailer weight's going to go up to 5,000 pounds. In my opinion, I really like the way this hitch looks on here. Having the round tube design really fits nicely with the contour of the vehicle. The matte black powder coat finish, I really like how durable it is. I like how it sits nice and tight up against the bottom of this panel here. The 2" by 2" receiver tube opening is really going to give you a lot of options for different accessories. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let's walk you through how to get it installed. Starter installation, you're going to need a 10mm socket and an 8mm socket. We're going to first remove the underbody panel if you have one. We're going to have 8mm bolts that run across the back. We're going to have a couple of 10mm that run along the inside here. We'll start with the inside with a 10mm socket. Along our driver's side panel, quarter panel here, we'll start removing our 8mm bolts. On the driver's side, behind your tire, where your panel hits your fender liner, there's going to be 2 8mm bolts inside here we need to remove. Then I found another one right behind the tire, right here. This panel wraps down and underneath, so we need to take off this inside one. And we'll have 2 more 10mm plastic nuts right here. And we're going to take a large screwdriver. We're going to take this attachment point out right here. You kind of pull down on it as you're undoing it. Put a little bit of pressure on that. It'll come off a little bit easier, just like that. Then we'll have one more fastener right here. We'll use our flathead screwdriver to remove that one. Then we need to lower our exhaust. We're going to have a rubber hanger here in the back and then one up towards the rear axle. Take some soapy water. We're going to spray down the hanger. Then we're going to take a pry bar and we'll work it off to the end. And we're going to repeat the process for the second one. Next, we need to remove our heat shield and trim it. We're going to take a 10mm socket. We're going to have a plastic fastener here. And we're going to have one right up here. Next, we need to cut out our heat shield. If you notice how I'm holding it here, we're going to cut this part off, which is touching our frame rail. Directions are going to tell you to go 5 inches up, 10 inches. What we really need to do is I'm going to cut it right along just above where that rolls right there. This is the only thing that covers that frame rail, so that's what I'm going to cut off. I'm going to use aviation shears to cut it off, and we can reinstall our heat shield. For hybrid models, your emissions canister on your driver's side, we need to temporarily remove that. We'll use a 10mm socket. We're going to have a bolt here on the back side and one on the front. We're going to let our canister hang, kind of like that, for now. On the driver's side, we're going to have a ground wire. Take a 10mm socket, we need to remove that nut, and we're going to end up relocating the ground wire somewhere else. On our driver's side, we're going to take our pull wire. We're going to go through this very back hole here. What we want to do is we want to push that over along this outside edge. There's actually a wall that goes in right here, and it makes it hard to get your hardware through there. We want to feed this through, and we want to come out this hole. Once you got it through, make sure you got it on the outside of that wall. Feed the spacer block on. Go ahead and push it inside the hole. Take a carriage bolt, we're going to thread it onto the end of the spring. We can feed our bolt inside. We'll pull it down just like that. For this hole, we're going to do a reverse pull. We'll attach our hardware to our wire, put the head of our bolt up first, and then our spacer block, and pull it back down. Spacer block. Thread your bolt on your wire. Have the bolt first, then your spacer block, and pull back down. For our passenger side, we're actually going to be using 3 holes. We're going to be using this one, and this one here. You're going to use the same techniques with the pull wire. Start at your very back hole, the smallest. Come to the front one, and work your way forward towards the front of the vehicle. With an extra set of hands, we're going to raise our hitch into place. We're going to go over our passenger side exhaust first. We're going to take our pull wires, put them through the corresponding holes in the hitch. You're going to have 2 holes on the back. You want to go into the very back hole on the driver's side. Then we can remove our pull wires and install our flange nut. You want to install all of your remaining hardware onto your bolts. We'll use a 3/4 inch socket, tighten all of our hardware. Then you're going to come back once you have everything tightened and torque it to the specification in the instructions. So the directions are going to tell you to use, there's a long bolt that comes in the kit to put your canister back in place, but they're not really clear on how to do it. We're finding that it's hitting the factory bolt here, and we're not going to be able to get our bolt back in the front. So we're going to take this bracket off, and we're going to modify it so we can get our canister put back in with both bolts. To take it off, you take a 10mm socket and wrench. The head of the bolt sits right up inside here. The bolt's going to come down with the nut side. You're going to have one on the back here and one on the front. Once you get those off, take this bracket off, and then we can get it modified. I'm just going to use a rotary tool with a plastic cutting blade to trim this out. Okay, we can reinstall our canister. We're going to use a factory bolt on the most forward hole. And our kit's going to come with a long bolt like this for the back hole. Then we can reinstall our ground wire. We're going to have a small hole right here. Kit's going to come with a small hex bolt and nut. We'll drop our bolt down like that. Then we'll use an 11mm socket and wrench and tighten that down. Then you can reinstall your exhaust in reverse order from the way you took it off. So now before we put our underbody panel back in place, we need to trim it. They're going to say to go 6 inches over from the center of this hole. You can see I marked it once. I've got it set up in place here and it's way off. So the reason I have it up here so I can line it up where the hitch is, and I marked it in this spot. Now we'll take it back down and mark this 10 inches back and make it just wide enough so we can fit it around the side plate of our hitch. This is just cardboard, so I'm just going to use a utility knife to cut this out. Once you get your underbody panel trimmed, you can go ahead and get it put back in place. Then you can reinstall all of your hardware for your underbody panel in reverse order from the way you took it off. Once you have your underbody panel put back in place, you're ready to go. That's going to do it for a look at and installation on the etrailer.com Class 3 trailer hitch receiver on your 2020 Chrysler Pacifica.